back, everybody, to the 423 Football Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, joined here, as always, by Brett Hamilton.
Hello.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is officially draft day.
Draft day!
For us and our league of record. Our draft is tonight in just a few hours. We're trying to record this episode. Again, this is going to be our wide receiver rankings episode for this week. We're going to try to go through this pretty quickly. We're only going to give you like our top 15 guys, then we're going to talk about a few other guys, give you some sleepers, and things like that. Some guys to stay away from. Just further preparing you guys for draft day. I know a lot of you have already drafted in some scenarios, in some leagues. I've already drafted in a league. Again, we're drafting tonight, so it's progressing. NFL season's 2 weeks away, so we're getting into the thick of it. But yeah, again today, all about wide receivers. So let's get into it. Just one bit of news before we jump into the rankings. Marquise Lee, if you saw it, pretty nasty knee injury. Most likely, I don't know if they've officially announced, but
I don't think it's official yet, but it might as well be.
It might as well be. He's probably not going to be playing this year. So big blow for the Jaguars. Everyone thought he was going to be the number one option in Jacksonville, but
I did.
Yeah. Now I guess you're picking between Keelan Cole, D. Westbrook, Dante Moncrief. Again, it's not a flattering receiving core to begin with, even with Lee. Fournette is obviously the driving force of that offense, but one of these guys I feel like is going to be fantasy relevant. I'd put my money on Cole and Westbrook being the in-between the 20s guys, and Moncrief maybe being the touchdown guy.
Yeah, it's a situation that I don't love any of the options, but I think one of those guys is going to hit and provide wide receiver 3 consistency numbers this year. I think D.D. Westbrook is going to be him, but if anyone, just pick one of those guys later in the draft, and you never know what you might find. Like I said, mine's D.D. Westbrook, but I can see a clear case for Dante Moncrief and Keelan Cole.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Wide receiver rankings, again, I know we could put this into like 3 or 4 episodes because wide receivers are so deep. You're drafting players that are maybe like wide receiver 80 on the list, especially those late round guys. But we're just going to give you the top 15. We're not going to hit on too many in depth as we'd like, but we're just going to go through them and see where it goes. And again, when we do our consistent rankings, I guess it's not. Usually we have some discrepancies. This we really didn't that much. There's a few here and there later on, but again,
which is weird because we don't work on these together. So
the top
these are just completely just free balling it for both of us, and they just ended up similar.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so number 1, no surprise here, Antonio Brown. Again, we're not going to hit on it too much. He's the best wide receiver in the game. He gets a ton of targets, especially in receptions in PPR. Again, our league has been changed to a half-point PPR league, so that's what we're basing everything on now. It's not that big of a jump and that much of a change from standard to half-point or PPR to half-point, but it still adds a little more to what Antonio Brown can do, and, there's no other choice there.
No, he's the only... I typically go for one of the top running backs in the first round, but Antonio Brown is the only one where if he's there at 3 or 4, he's the only one that I would even consider a wide receiver at that spot.
Yeah, I will say I do believe that our guy at number 2, DeAndre Hopkins, I do believe that there is a good chance, if Deshaun Watson stays healthy all season, that DeAndre Hopkins will be the new number 1 wide receiver in fantasy.
I definitely can't disagree with you there. You just have to do a little bit more projecting than you do with Antonio Brown. But he has all of the upside in the world.
But I think well, no, I won't say that. I won't say he's a better end zone threat than Brown because there's nothing he can't do. But Hopkins really, really showed why he is a number 1 wide receiver in this league last year.
With any quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then coming in at number 3, this was on a coin flip because I believe I had one guy ahead of the other. But number 3, Odell Beckham Jr., You had him at 3, right?
I have him at 3.
Yeah, and I have him at 4. So Odell and Julio is our 4th guy. So those are the guys we switched on.
Those are difficult for me to rank just in general. I always flip back and forth between them, but they're both incredible talents.
What makes you put Odell above Julio?
My guess is, well, not my guess.
Your guess. This is you.
I did rank them this way, and like I said, asked me last week, and I may have put Julio Jones ahead of him. The Falcons really struggled last year, and that's what concerned me. The Giants struggled last year, but that was because of all the injury. You could blame that on
because Odell wasn't there,
and Odell wasn't there. But when he plays, he's dominant. Julio Jones played last year, and although he put up some good numbers, he didn't provide you that value. I don't think there's that risk in Odell Beckham.
I just want 1 year where Julio actually scores double-digit touchdowns.
And that's the issue, because Odell Beckham is going to score his touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. But that's so bizarre to me. Like,
yeah.
I know. If there's a guy in the NFL right now, a receiver, that should be scoring double-digit touchdowns every single year, it's Julio Jones.
I know. It's frustrating. So that's what worries me, is the struggle from the offense last year, and with all of their guys healthy, and then the Giants just got obliterated, and you can blame that on their struggles. I think and that's just a little bit of an edge I give to Odell Beckham, is just the offensive situation. I think it's not a better offense. I just think that he's going to be more productive. I don't know. I mean, it really is tough to go back and forth, but if I was going to lean either one at that number 3 spot, I think I would go Odell.
Well, speaking of touchdowns, coming in at number 5 on our list, the guy who I think is going to lead the league.
Who was number 4?
Julio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
You just ruined my segue.
I was really confused. I was like, man, I thought we were just at number 3.
3 and 4. We did them together. But anyway, my segue is just completely butchered. But the guy I think who will lead the league in receiving touchdowns this year, Davante Adams. I think we both had him. Actually, no, we did not. I had him at 5. You had him at 6. Because we switched. Same thing with Julio and OBJ.
Yeah.
We did that with Davante Adams and Keenan Allen. So Davante Adams, we've never seen him really be the yardage guy. We've never really seen him be that high in receptions compared to a lot of these other guys. But he's on an offense with the best quarterback in football right now. And as long as everyone's healthy, then Davante Adams should have no problem scoring 12-plus touchdowns this season.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot I can say against him. I mean, I did put Keenan Allen ahead of him.
And I can understand.
If we were in a standard league, I would put Davante Adams ahead.
That's what I was about to say.
But Keenan Allen is going to provide you those target points for the reception points in PPR formats.
Target points. I wish that was a thing.
Golly.
I honestly,
wow, that would be incredible.
I hate PPR, like full point PPR.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. I don't understand why people jump to that. But the way, because ESPN is at the forefront of changing everything to PPR. Mm-hmm. And I honestly, them doing weird stuff like that, I could see them coming out with a target, point system.
Who would just be a target?
PPT.
Adam Thielen last year. I think he had 180 targets or something.
Jarvis Landry would be number 1 every year. He doesn't even have to catch the ball.
That would be so ridiculous. People picking Jarvis Landry in the 2nd round or something.
I mean, I like Jarvis this year, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But even
I think I'm going to write that down. I'm going to invent that point system.
PPT, point per target. God, that's terrible. But anyway, Davante Adams, obviously, we talked about him. Keenan Allen, just as good in terms of I think the points are going to be very close. It's just in a different way. Davante's going to get the touchdowns.
That's kind of how I feel. They both specialize in different things, and I'm fully on board with the fact that Davante Adams could easily score the most receiving touchdowns this year.
Yeah. All right, coming in at number 7. Now, tell me to shut up if I
shut up.
Okay, yeah. But I think after 6, and I love these guys below. But I think after 6, after Keenan Allen, I think there's a tier break. I mean, it's still a lot of talented guys and guys that can easily jump into that top 6 category.
I think, I would say that. That's where my tier break would be.
But yeah, again, we haven't really sat down and done our tier rankings yet, so we don't really know exactly where we're putting them, but that's just first glance.
First glance, that's where I would put it.
Yeah, but anyway, number 7, Michael Thomas. Obviously, Drew Brees had a down year last year. Michael Thomas didn't really feel the effects of that too much. He still had a great year.
He had less touchdowns. That's where he felt it.
Yeah, but still, he's getting a ton of receptions. There's not really another receiver on that team. Ted Ginn's not going to take away that much. Cameron Meredith, I like this year.
I like as a late-round pick, yeah.
But not... I mean, he's not taking anything away from Michael Thomas. The only thing... I think Michael Thomas is one of the safer picks. I think he's going to be consistent.
Too, yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be able to jump into that top 5 range.
It's just going to be interesting to see if he can deliver those wide receiver 1 numbers on a good percentage of his games this coming year. It's one thing if you want to pick a safe guy, but if you're looking for the guy that's going to give you those blow up games like Amari Cooper or Doug Baldwin can do, I don't think Michael Thomas is the guy. I think he can, but I think I view him as just a more consistent, even.
Good, solid, honestly,
wide receiver.
75 plus yards a game.
Yep.
Good, maybe 7 to 10 receptions a game.
Yep.
And that's solid. That's PPR gold right
there.
Yeah,
that's why he comes in at number 7.
Exactly. Coming in number 8, AJ Green. He has kind of been forgotten over the past couple years because the Bengals have been so bad.
It's the problem with it's not. I love AJ Green. I think
do too.
He is so talented, but the Bengals scare me as an offense so much.
Yeah,
everything about it worries me.
Yeah, but I mean, AJ Green, he keeps putting up good numbers, and I don't think he's going to stop doing that. Again, kind of like Michael Thomas, he's consistent. He doesn't really have those blow up games like he used to. But I mean, if you're making the list of the top 5 like talented receivers in the NFL, you got Antonio Brown, you got Hopkins, you got OBJ, you got Julio, and AJ Green's right there without question. He's just a physical freak, and even with Andy Dalton and the Bengals performing poorly, which I think they'll take a step up this year because they're not trying to have a carousel of running backs like they did last year that just pissed everybody off.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be more focused, more, I guess, understanding how their offense is going to work out of the gates, and I think AJ Green's going to benefit from that. So 8, that's where I like him in that spot.
Yep, I think that's good because he does provide you with the top 5 potential of a wide receiver because he has that talent level. It's just all of the unknown of the offense that puts him at number 8.
And hopefully John Ross is actually healthy this year because I think that'll open things up in a big way.
Golly, I want him to have a really good year.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 9, Doug Baldwin. We talked about him here a few minutes ago. Are you concerned with his knee injury at all? Because he hasn't played a single snap in preseason. They say he's going to be ready for week 1.
Well,
what do you make of that?
I am not worried. I actually think that he's falling in drafts to a perfect level because I love Doug Baldwin. He's one of my favorite wide receivers. He is one of those guys that he can win you your league. I have no doubt. Because he's got Russell Wilson at the helm. The
quarterback pairing is a big thing.
Yes, and I love Russell Wilson, especially, and even more so this year than last year. And I think that if Doug Baldwin is falling into like the middle of the second round, and even towards the end of the second round, I think that is a perfect opportunity to get a huge upside. I'm not worried about the knee.
Second round might be pushing it for me.
Yeah,
I think that's a little early. There's just too many running backs.
Oh wait, did I say second round? I meant third round. He's going in the middle of the third round.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Third, I'm okay with.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. Third pick. Well, I guess you just have to see where you are placed in the.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna if he's there automatically. I'm gonna look at my roster construction.
Yeah, obviously.
But I love him in the third round. If you need a wide receiver at that spot, I think. I mean, he really does provide you that true upside.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, number 10, rounding out the top 10, Mike Evans. Kind of hard to put him outside the top 10, in my opinion. I mean, he's had 1,000 yards every single season he's been in the NFL. Yeah. Even with poor quarterback play here and there, he's had to deal with Jameis being injured for a while. Jameis is going to be out a few games this season. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think, is an okay quarterback in terms of...
he can get the job done.
He's not going to completely tank Mike Evans' fantasy value.
No.
So that's the thing you got to look at. So
and it might help him even for touchdowns in the first few games because Jameis really loves throwing to the tight ends in the red zone, and whereas Fitzpatrick, his tendency is more towards a wide receiver. So
yeah, but Mike Evans is kind of following the same path as AJ Green in the fact that we're starting to forget about him. He's starting to drop in these drafts, but he still puts up solid numbers, 1,000 yards every year. AJ Green pretty much does that constantly. So
again,
and the upside's still there as well.
I like the comp to AJ Green a lot because he does have upside. You know, he's finished as a top 5 wide receiver before, and he's super consistent. The thing that separated him last year was really the touchdowns, and he had some games where he just disappeared. That was the real issue. I don't think, even if the Buccaneers are terrible this year, I don't think that you're going to see him disappear like he did last year. I think the offense is just going to flow a lot better and more smooth.
All right, and now, definitely, there is a tier break here, in my opinion. After Mike Evans,
yes,
this
absolutely.
Is where, because
do you keep? Well, I don't want to spoil our rankings.
Yeah, don't step by step. But no, that 10 right there, I think those are safe. I think they're all safe. Barring injury, I don't see any of those guys having a poor season. They're especially from a week-to-week basis. Now, these next couple guys, it's a lot of boom-bust players.
Yeah.
We've seen it time and time again. It's just they're not very consistent with their numbers. They put up huge numbers. Mm-hmm. But, again, not all of these guys are that consistent, everyday wide receiver one that you want. But that being said, number 11, we got T.Y. Hilton.
That's where it's hard for me to keep him out of that tier.
Out of which tier?
The tier where you just put that tier break. It's hard for me to not put the tier break underneath him.
Really?
You see what you're saying?
But he's one of the ones that he's very, very up and down. He can have just goose egg weeks.
Right.
But then he goes off and has 3 touchdowns and 200 yards.
And he can do that. And if Andrew Luck is going to play 16 games, I don't see that there's. I don't see him.
But even with Luck, he was.
I don't see him being more boom bust.
I mean, he was still very inconsistent with Luck as his quarterback.
I guess from a consistency standard, if it's based on that, then I would probably put him out. I mean, he is less consistent than all of the other guys.
That's the only reason I have him outside the tier.
Okay.
I mean, he's still 11 for us. We still really like him.
Yeah, he's still top 12.
Yeah, a wide receiver one guy. It's just the consistency isn't quite there with that other tier.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Number 12 on our list, similar player, Tyreek Hill, just bursting on the scene. Everything is just out of the camp and out of preseason just looks phenomenal with Tyreek Hill and that Chiefs offense, honestly.
Yep.
Mahomes has been up and down in preseason, this past preseason game.
Would you expect it?
Yeah, this past game against, who was it? I can't remember. But
I can't remember who they played.
I mean, Mahomes had a good game. That was probably the best I've seen him throw, being able to move outside the pocket, really find his receivers, and he spread the ball around.
Yeah.
But Tyreek Hill, I think, is going to be the go-to guy in that offense.
I do too.
A lot of people, honestly, I think we have him high compared to a lot of other.
I think so, and I think he could present a super value if he falls because I think he's the most talented wide receiver on that team, and he's just electric. I mean, he can blow up. So
he doesn't even need that great of a quarterback to elevate himself because just get the ball in his hands and let him go to work.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to, I mean, he's nowhere near this talent, but DeAndre Hopkins, where you don't have to worry about who's throwing him the ball. Like, if he catches it, he can make something happen.
Yeah, in a very different way, but I number 13 on our list, this is the one I think we have him higher than most everybody because a lot of people have
I expected this, though.
Well, a lot of people have his teammate higher than him. Oh, like a good 5, 6, 7 spots ahead.
It's fine with me.
But, fine with me. Adam Thielen is our guy at number 13. I know Stephon Diggs is the talk of the town. Yeah. I really, really don't understand it. Adam Thielen is the better wide receiver. I think he's going to have a better rapport with Kirk Cousins. Just more of a feel for each other. Yeah. Stephon Diggs, it's the hype from the playoffs last year. Everyone sees one play and they freak out. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, it was just circumstance that happened. It's the same thing I think that's happened with Trey Burton right now. He has a really good Super Bowl, throws a touchdown pass, and people are like, oh, this guy is going to be a fantasy stud if he gets in the right spot. And maybe so. I'm not saying they're going to tank and have bad seasons. No. But back to Adam Thielen, I just think Thielen is more primed to, one, be more consistent.
Yeah, that's where it comes down to me is consistency.
2, have more targets, which obviously is going to lead to more receptions.
I had a
PPR
monster amount of targets last year.
I think Diggs will be more of a touchdown guy, and that's fine. But I think Thielen is going to be the more productive guy in this offense. I don't see where the Diggs hype is. I understand he's a really talented wide receiver, but Thielen's just, it's the same thing with kind of what Jordy went through the first couple years of his career. It took so long for him to get any respect whatsoever from the fantasy community, football community, whoever.
Yeah.
And Thielen's going through that right now, and I think we're going to be talking about him as maybe a top 10 guy in the near future.
I agree. Well, we've both got him ranked pretty high, or higher than Stephon Diggs, so I think we agree on that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, number 14 on our list, Amari Cooper.
This guy's one of those the hardest people for me to rank.
Every year. Is this the year?
This is the year.
This has got to be the year.
This has to be the year.
John Gruden revamped team. Yeah. Derek Carr, hopefully getting back to what we thought he was going to be, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But Amari, obviously Crabtree's gone, so Amari's stepping into that number 1 role. He has the talent. I think there's some issues with maybe focus he's had drop issues, so I really think it's focus because he has good hands. We've seen it in the past. It's hard to put him outside of the top 15.
Yeah, that's where it's really difficult for me because if I put him outside the top 15, then I'm thinking that's just way too low because he is the number 1 wide receiver. I do think he's really talented, but then I look at last year and I'm like, wow, that was really, really terrible. But the one question I'll ask is if he fails this year, like he did last year, is he done? Are you done with him?
I'm done drafting him. Yes.
Yeah, I would be in that same camp.
I would be shocked if he.
This is his prime. He has all of the opportunity. He's never going to have more opportunity than this. I don't think.
I will be very, very shocked if this isn't his best fantasy season. If it's not, actually, that's the bar. This has to be his best fantasy season by a good margin. Yeah. He needs to lead that team in receiving yards, not Jared Cook like last year. Touchdowns, I'll give him a pass on because, again, touchdowns are kind of random.
You can't predict touchdowns.
Honestly, I think Jordy is going to have the most touchdowns receiving-wise on that team. But Amari, he's got to get it together. I think he does this year. I think everything's going right in Oakland at the moment. So
this is the first time he's been the clear-cut wide receiver 1 on his team. With new coaching era, he has to do it. It just comes down to he has to perform.
You gotta get it done, Amari. You gotta get it done.
I hope he listens to this and gets a pep talk.
Now I'll break this down. I was waiting until we got to Amari to do this, but I've done quite a few mock drafts where my 3 receivers end up being Devontae Adams, Doug Baldwin, Amari Cooper.
Wow, I think that's incredible.
Now,
I love that.
Now the caveat: every single one has a week 7 bye.
Oh wow!
What do you make of that? What would you be okay having those receivers?
Week 7, yeah. No, I really like those wide receivers.
Yeah, it's an awesome pair.
I'm not concerned. Honestly, I'd rather get them. I would almost rather get them all out of the way. Week 7, you know what your team is by that point. You know where you are.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, it's more over half the
Everything's
season.
Still kind of fluid, but yes.
It is, but I wouldn't expect to be in a position where I have to win week 7 to solidify a playoff position. So I think that if you just play the waiver wire game, maybe you play a bunch of boom players that you can find on the waiver wire at that point. Because like we said earlier on this episode, the wide receivers are so deep this year that I think you can get by that week. And golly,
so would you rather
that is a really good wide receiver core.
So would you rather have, say, like 3 of your receivers in 1 bye week, maybe tank that week? You could still win.
You can still win,
but just from a draft perspective, you're essentially saying that week is going to be a struggle. Would you rather do that, or would you rather have just a bunch of random bye weeks where you lose a key piece of your team every single week? Because I've thought about that for a long time. I've started to think that tanking 1 week might be better than losing a key piece where you could lose multiple weeks.
I don't think that this decision, if that decision is going to make or break you. I think that there's benefits on both sides to where I'm not going to draft. Like, a lot of people really take into account bye weeks.
I
just
during
don't.
The draft, no, I don't.
No.
I do not do that.
No.
But
you have to once you have your team, you have to plan for your bye weeks.
Yes,
but I don't know if one's better than the other. It'd be hard for me to tell. I don't hate either strategy, but I can definitely see the merits of just not having a great, like, knowing that this week's going to be awful, but you have your starters for every other week of the season, pretty much. I'm fine. I can definitely see the logic in that, especially if you get off to a hot start. You go 5-0. That's fine.
Yeah, true.
Because then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, just go 5-0 and you're good.
Yeah, if you just win all of the games, you don't have to worry about much.
All you have to do is score more points than your opponent.
Yeah, this is really, I don't even know why we have a podcast. This is such an easy system.
Well, good night, folks. This is the last episode. Last episode of the 423 Football. Signing off.
Oh, man.
That being said, number 15 on our list, Larry Fitzgerald. This is the last player we're going through with our rankings. Larry Fitzgerald. I think we both have him here because, one, Larry Fitzgerald's a fantastic wide receiver. I think it elevates him even more, especially since we're talking half-point PPR now.
Yes,
and
definitely.
He's going to have a quarterback of some sort. Sam Bradford, I think, can get it done.
Sam Bradford's a good quarterback when he plays. If he goes down, Josh Rosen is one of, if not my favorite rookie quarterback, and I think he's going to do well. Larry Fitzgerald is going to get his receptions. Like, it just happens every year. He always finishes as a top 12 wide receiver. It's impossible for me to keep him out of my top 15.
And they've lost so many receivers. John Brown's gone. Jerron Brown's gone.
Yeah.
People have left. So there are even more targets to be had.
Yep.
Okay. Any more guys you want to talk about? Just to mention?
The situation that I'm most interested in is the Denver offense and what wide receiver is going to provide the most value. I think it's Demaryius Thomas. What's your...
100%. If we were going to keep doing our rankings after 15, Demaryius would be right at 16 for me.
Yeah,
I think he's going to have a hell of a year.
Case Keenum is a really good quarterback. He broke out last year, and I understand that, but he is miles better than any quarterback they've had over the past 3+ years. I can't remember how long.
Yeah.
And I think Demaryius Thomas is the most talented. I like Emmanuel Sanders a lot. If I can't get Demaryius Thomas, I'm fine taking Emmanuel Sanders later. But I think that there's going to be a lot of productivity on that offense. So that's a guy that I think that I have a lot of faith in, but he didn't make our top 15.
Yeah, definitely. One guy I kind of want to talk about, or really they're all kind of PPR weapons, maybe sleepers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a sleeper for this first guy, but Jarvis Landry, I think, is going to have a heck of a year. I think they're going to feed him the ball. I know Josh Gordon, we haven't even seen him play with Landry yet, but I think Landry is going to be the guy who gets 10 receptions every game, without question.
Landry fits Tyrod Taylor's skill set really well. I like that. I like that pair, that quarterback wide receiver pairing. Josh Gordon, he's going to have those. He's probably going to have a few blow up games.
Yeah.
But I think Jarvis Landry's not going to see the target share that he saw in Miami because he's the only guy there. But he can get pretty close on this team.
Yeah, I agree with that. And honestly, Tyrod, we both like him. But even if Baker gets in at this or sometime this season, I think that's still a better situation than Ryan Tannehill was.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Tannehill is a bad quarterback.
Yep. I'm sorry, Dolphins fans.
Any other guys you want to talk about?
I want to get your temperature gauge on Chris Hogan.
Hot.
I'm burning up over here.
You said temperature gauge.
I just wanted to know, because he's a guy that's kind of climbed up my rankings a little bit because of all the injuries and suspension, the whole wide receiver core in New England. Chris Hogan was a guy I had a lot of faith in last year, and I think he underperformed where I thought he would end up. But at least for the first 3 or 4 games, like it's going to be his show, I think. I mean, obviously Gronk is always going to get his, but in terms of wide receiver, there's not another guy on that team that I want to spend my draft pick on, and Chris Hogan.
Last year, before the Patriots got Brandon Cooks, Chris Hogan was kind of my guy that I was going to be like, okay, this is going to be the year where he kind of blows up, and we really can see what he does. This year, I think that is actually going to happen in a much larger scale. Yeah. So I think I like Chris Hogan a lot. I don't know exactly when I would be taking him because there's a lot of guys and a lot of other running backs around him that I would probably rather take just because I don't want Chris Hogan to be my second wide receiver. I'll say that. I want him to be my third. Yeah. I could.
He's not. I don't think he's. I'm not.
I could see.
I don't think he's going to be safe enough to provide you wide receiver 2 numbers every week.
I think he can.
Yeah.
And I think he can jump into that, but it's a little bit
too risky for me.
Yeah, and I honestly, I'm
but
not sure.
If I end up with him as my wide receiver 3, I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, a few guys you want to stay away from at the wide receiver position.
This is a guy I want him to succeed so bad. So don't take it. So I don't want anyone to. I don't want anyone to think that I'm rooting against him. But it's just based on hype and ADP right now. Marquise Goodwin going at the 509 spot. That is, he has skyrocketed. I mean, the hype train is chugging along way too fast for me. I thought he would be more of a value pick this past year, or no, this year. But he's risen so much in ADP that I'm never going to take him in the 5th round.
I love Marquise Goodwin for this year. Love him.
I understand that.
Yeah, no, again, I can't 100%. I agree.
There's so many other players going around him that I feel more strongly about. It could be. I mean, he has a very unique skill set, and he can take the top off of defense in no time. But I don't know if he's going to be consistent enough to provide you wide receiver 2 or 3 numbers every week.
Yeah, guy I'm staying away from. Again, actually, no, I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say Brandon Cooks, but I'm tired of talking about him.
I had him, so we won't talk about him.
Well, again, if you've been listening, you know what we've been saying.
You know how we feel.
We much rather have Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
So just one other guy I'll talk about, Allen Robinson. Coming off a knee injury.
This is a kind of a polarizing player.
It's nothing. I mean, the Bears' offense clearly better.
Yes,
but coming off a knee injury, with a
new quarterback
that really hasn't found any kind of stride in the NFL yet. The Bears' offense just mediocre at best.
Yeah,
I can't see a scenario where Allen Robinson has a top 20 fantasy season. I mean,
you're drafting him based on the belief that he is the clear-cut number 1 and he's going to produce wide receiver 1 numbers for his team. And I think he is the number 1 on that team. It's just what you think the passing game is going to be like for the Bears. And I'm with you. I'm not confident enough to take him where he's going.
Yeah.
Just the last guy I'll throw out, since we're not going to go on the Brandon Cooks rant. This is a guy that I don't know why, but I have never drafted him. In all of my mock drafts, no matter where he is, I just haven't drafted him. It's Michael Crabtree. I understand that he's expected to be the number 1 guy in Baltimore, but I don't think that he's that special, and I don't think that Joe Flacco's an all-star quarterback. I think he's just a guy that he's not ending up on my team, and I didn't particularly notice it until I was going over my rankings. I was like, I don't think I've ever drafted him in all of the mock drafts that I've done, and just for whatever reason, I don't think that he's going to provide. I don't have a lot of faith in him. I think there's going to be more fantasy value emerge from someone else on that team.
When it comes to the Ravens offense, I feel myself more likely to take like a really late round flyer than I am to take a guy like Crabtree. I'd rather take John Brown.
Maybe that's why, because I have taken John Brown as a really late pick.
I'd rather take, honestly, I'd be fine taking Brashad Perriman even super late as well.
The reports from camp were all really positive about John Brown, how he's really surprised, how good he was. And this is something that whenever John Brown was healthy, I loved him in Arizona. But The problem was that he was always hurt because he's got the sickle cell issue that just keeps him out so often. But yeah, I guess that's why I would just rather take a flyer on one of the other guys than spend the capital on Michael Crabtree, who I don't think is going to get it done.
Fair enough. Before we move on into our deep sleepers, one more guy I do want to talk about, Mike Williams. Actually healthy, it seems. Obviously, Hunter Henry is out for the year, so we already know what Keenan Allen. We already have we put Keenan Allen as our number 6 wide receiver, but Mike Williams, again, last year I didn't think he was going to play at all. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily. I wasn't bashing his talent or anything because I think he's super talented, and I think we're seeing that in preseason. He's moving up draft boards. What do you make of that? Do you think he could be like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams could be like a super wide receiver duo, kind of like we're seeing with Thielen or Diggs or Juju and Antonio?
Yes, I do believe that. I'm a big believer in Mike Williams for the kind of reasons you mentioned. Hunter Henry out for the season. They got rid of Antonio Gates. They brought in a non-pass catching tight end. There's targets abundant, and I think Keenan Allen's going to get a lot, and that's why I have him ranked at number 5. But there's going to be plenty of pass volume to go around, and I think Mike Williams is really talented, and I have a lot of faith in the Chargers offense as a whole. So I think that he could emerge as a really solid, like almost Juju-esque in comparing that to those situations.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, 2 deep sleepers each. Go ahead, kick it off.
I'm gonna go Chris Godwin, and I know this is a hometown pick, but
I didn't even think to write his name down. I'm so glad you said that.
And that should we can pretend like it's Brandon's pick, so no one accuses me of being a homer. But Chris Godwin is a guy that he is super talented, and he is gonna. My belief is he's gonna work his way into the opposite side of the field as Mike Evans, and they're gonna move Deshaun Jackson to the slot, and that's how I see the offense going. And even if the Buccaneers are bad, Jameis Winston he provides fantasy value to wide receivers because they're down a lot and he has to sling it, and that ends up being okay for their wide receiver core. We've seen that with Mike Evans. But Chris Godwin is a guy that I just really believe in his talent. He could really boom this year, and I was really expecting it last year, and it didn't really happen. But the reports have been so positive this offseason about him working, and they're already thinking that he's already been working as the number 2 wide receiver opposite of Mike Evans. So I think the sky's the limit for his potential this year.
Yeah, love that pick. Love that. I'm going to go, again, I guess I'm going to be the hometown guy.
Oh, no.
Here we go. Geronimo Allison.
I almost wrote him down.
I think he has
I like that.
completely solidified that number 3 role in that wide receiving core. And as we know, in the Packers offense with Aaron Rodgers, 3 wide receivers can be fantasy relevant.
Yep.
We've seen it time and time again. I think it's going to happen again this year.
Yeah.
Geronimo, he had some big games last year when Rodgers was healthy. He has the trust of Rodgers as well. So that, you get the trust of Aaron Rodgers. It's not easy to earn, honestly. You've seen him trashing the rookie wide receivers because of their work ethic. So if you get that rapport with him, things are going to work out. The fantasy production is going to be there. So definitely taking some late round stabs at Geronimo Allison.
Yeah, I understand that. My last guy, I was torn between 2, but they're both really similar. Amara Darboh and Tyler Lockett, because
I like both.
I know, and I kept flip-flopping back and forth. I was like, okay, I did Amara Darboh last year as like a super sleeper rookie, and I still think he can find value, but because Amara Darboh he's 6'2", I think he can fill in those touchdown. He can fill in the loss of both Paul Richardson and Jimmy Graham. There's a lot of targets and a lot of touchdowns.
Absolutely.
Especially with Jimmy Graham gone. They're going to go somewhere. You can't put it all on Doug Baldwin, even though I love Doug Baldwin. There's going to be another guy there with Russell Wilson as quarterback that's going to provide you value. and I really can't decide between those two players.
Can I throw another name out?
Yeah.
Same thing in that mix. Jerron Brown is
Yeah,
in Seattle now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he's getting a lot of looks as well. I think he might be the
Yeah.
new Paul Richardson when it comes to the Seattle.
I guess the
receiving
reason
corps.
I lean towards these towards Amar Darboh and Tyler Lockett is just because they have the rapport. They've been in Seattle for a while.
I got you. I'm going to say two of my sleepers because they're both rookies, and I feel like it's kind of hard saying that a rookie is a sleeper because especially they're not Saquon Barkley, so we know they're not going super early.
Most of them are sleepers.
Yes. So Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk.
Okay.
Again, my bold prediction early on in the offseason was Calvin Ridley is going to be a top 20 wide receiver this year. Again, that's bold. I understand that.
Very hot.
Christian Kirk, though, I think could be a
I
PPR
like that pick a
machine. I think he's going to have a hell of a year across from Larry Fitzgerald. I think they're going to kind of move them all over the field. I think both will be in the slot sometimes. Both will be outside occasionally. I won't ramble too much on that just because I've talked about Calvin Ridley quite a bit. But
I really like the Christian Kirk. I almost wrote him down as well because the wide receiver core is going to look completely different last year for Arizona. They got rid of Jerron. They got rid of John, both Browns. And Larry Legend is going to be amazing again, like he is every year. But there's got to be another guy. And Christian Kirk was one of those rookie prospects that I just loved coming into the season. And I thought that he went into one of the better situations you could go for a top wide receiver.
Yeah, well, both of those situations, the Falcons and the Cardinals, I feel like they're both going to get better from what they were last year. Cardinals, obviously, they didn't have David Johnson, they didn't have a quarterback,
right?
So things obviously got better there. That offense is going to be a lot better, which is going to be beneficial to Christian Kirk. And then the Falcons, again,
they're in for positive regression. That's what I believe in the Falcons.
It was just maybe the Super Bowl hangover is what happened last year. Matt Ryan, still not sold on Matt Ryan, but they've never really had a number 2 guy. Mohamed Sanu, he's good. He's never really consistent. Calvin Ridley, I think, is going to be a much more consistent option for Matt Ryan in that offense.
I like that a lot.
Okay, so that's all for today's episode. Wide receivers done. I don't think we're going to do tight ends. We'll probably post our rankings, like top 10, top 15 tight end rankings. We're just not going to ramble on those guys too much. I think the next episode will probably be like a season preview, just entire, kind of like we did last year if you guys were listening at that point. We'll go through, do our predictions for who's going to win each division, prediction for like different awards, like who's going to be the breakout player of the year, things like that. But so I guess we just got to prepare for our draft now. We got people piling in. Peyton's sitting right here. Haven't heard this guy's voice in a long time. But
familiar face to the podcast.
About a year.
Decades.
I know nothing.
Peyton always comes out with one of the better drafts.
I know, it's a gift.
Better drafts, better regular season, and then the playoffs happen.
It's not fair.
You gotta work on the playoff play.
They bench all the good players.
That's another thing I kind of want to hit on really quick. Like when I draft, I look at playoff schedules more than anything. Good. I look at that more than buys. I look at that more than strength of schedule.
Yep.
Just those two, because we play in week 15 and 16. That's our fantasy playoffs. Those 2 weeks, I really, really focus on because.
It doesn't matter if you get to the championship and lose.
Exactly. It does not matter. It's win or go home. If you ain't first, you're last. That's what we're playing this for.
Yep.
We're not playing for second place. I don't want second place. I'd rather miss the playoffs completely than lose in the championship.
Yeah, that's my strategy, is just don't make the playoffs. I don't have to worry about the championship game.
Exactly. That's perfect. But anyway, that's going to be all for today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the423football. Like us over on Facebook. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube. Give us a like. Leave your comments and reviews. Good luck drafting, everybody. And thanks for listening. We are the 423 Football Podcast.